problem.
The following feature has been rated R by
Timur Radicek.
Parental guidance is suggested. It is intended for mature audiences and parental discretion is advised.
I want to apologize if anyone is offended by this.
I'm going to speak as the expert on funny. Funny people should just be left to try to be funny.
Now, if any of you sons of bitches got anything else to say, now's the fucking time!
Let's see how fucking committed you are to this premise.
You know what I'm saying. You don't even know what the fuck you saying.
Just be honest. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, here's a joke that's not gonna work.
I'm hardcore. Seriously. No, it's not a joke. There's gonna be a joke coming. There's no fucking joke coming.
Do you know how cocky you gotta be to just pull that out of your ass one day and see if anybody says anything?
Go fuck yourself.
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
Kind of sounds like the behavior of a drunk man, really.
This man is fucking drunk. You look like you smell like pee.
Bitch, I live in a fucking trash can.
You're listening to the Laugh or Else podcast. Fuck you!
What's going on, everybody? Timur Radicek here, back at the Laugh or Else podcast. And I must start off the show by apologizing for my inconsistent posts here. The problem is I've just scored a second job, so that makes 2 part-time jobs. I go to school as well as serve an internship with a television station. So it's getting kind of hectic in my schedule to put these out. As you know, I'm not profiting from this in any way, shape, or form. I just do it for the practice, and it turns out I need a lot of practice because all of the studios that I record this show in are not calibrated the same way, so they all need a little bit of special attention, and the production is kind of difficult once I get it recorded. So enough with that. Like I said, I apologize for the inconsistent posts, but it is what it is, guys. Hopefully by the time I finish school, which will be somewhere in the end of October, I will have at least 12 episodes under my belt so I can call it a full season like they do in television nowadays. Back in the day, they used to be somewhere along the lines of 30 to 35 episodes in a season, but now they do between 8 and 12, which is ridiculous for 1-hour shows. They've got fleets of people working on a television show, and they got a week to prepare, but they film like a whole season of something like, say, Shameless in a few months, and then they just put it out incrementally over, the next couple of months. But I only have myself, and it gets kind of difficult to edit and find clips. It takes a lot of research, and I don't really have but one day a week, and that is today, which is Sunday, to get my stuff together and put together somewhat of a show. So enough about my ranting and my lunacy here. Let's get into the reason why we're here today. And that is because I'm going to focus on Chicago comedians. That's right. Not the huge, theater-filling comedians that may be out there, but people I've recently seen on the local touring circuit. Because, like I said, I just landed a second job, and it just so happens to be in one of the premier comedy clubs here in Chicago. And Tuesday, I found that, every Tuesday where I work, there's an open mic kind of deal. It's, they call it 10 for 10, or the Tuesday 10. Now, if you got some Google research skills, you'll know what venue I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say who it is in case they listen in and they don't like the things I say. I don't want to get fired from my job. But yeah, so they take 10 comedians on Tuesday for $10. You can check them out every Tuesday. I'm going to focus on a few of the comedians I've seen there, as well as a couple that are on the only other television show I watch on commercial television, which is Last Comic Standing. That's the only regular terrestrial television that I'll watch is something about comedy. I don't even watch Saturday Night Live anymore, even though there are small portions of it that are kind of funny. Like Michael Che was really good writer, and he's now with not Colbert, but Jon Stewart. He's been hired as a writer. I don't know. Maybe he's on camera telling. I haven't watched that in a while. Like I said, I have no time in a schedule other than Sundays, and I don't really have much time to watch anything. And what I have been watching, which is really interesting, is Orange is the New Black. Now, if you haven't seen the show, I'll give you the basic gist. It's about a girl who goes to prison, a woman, and she goes... I can't remember what she was she was involved in some drug ring, and she was pointed at for being involved in it, so she had to do some jail time. And it's kind of like if the television show Scrubs was a lot darker, and it was rated R, but it took place in a women's prison. And it's kind of funny, it's kind of dramatic, it's a little bit all over the place. I mean, there's factions of girls, you know, there's like the black girls, the white girls, the Latino girls, and then there's the gay or lesbian chicks that are in there. And it's pretty funny at times, but like I said, it's a really interesting show. It's very well written, the dialogue's pretty good, and it's only on Netflix. You're not going to see this on Showtime or HBO or whatever. You have to have a Netflix subscription. And the only other two shows that I watch out there are, like I said, Shameless. I think I mentioned that a little bit ago. And House of Cards, which is another Netflix exclusive starring Kevin Spacey. If you haven't seen that, it's a political kind of thing. He was a congressman, and it kind of follows him and his story and all the political corruption that's happening in his world as he tries to move through the ranks. And the last season was pretty good. Actually, one of the students here at ICB was, he was an extra. I don't want to say extra because I think he had a couple of speaking lines, and he actually recently gave us a little speech. Well, he appeared on webcam for us and took some questions, and I can't remember his name, otherwise I'd tell you who he is, but he was murdered and in the first season, and then they had a little bit of a flashback to him somewhere in season 2 around like episode 4 or 5. He's a little blonde-haired white dude. Like I said, if I knew his name, I'd gladly tell you who he is, but If you do know who I'm talking about, he was a former graduate of where I'm going to school at, so maybe there is some hope for me to be on television, even though my mother always said I had a face for radio, so I don't know what I'm like behind a camera. We've done some shoots recently here at school. Right now we're working on a 30-minute newscast, which is turning out to be a huge chore for like the 10 or 12 of us that are involved. I'm not exactly an on-camera guy. I'm not a reporter or an anchor, but I have some of the stories that are going to be featured. I wrote, and my role during the broadcast will be like technical. I'll have like some sort of sound operation as well as maybe a Telecaster operation, and so I'm trying to get experienced in how to put up a broadcast so I can at least one day buy my own equipment and do my own television show or internet show. So enough about me and the school here at the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. I have a few commercials that I've made in the last 2 weeks. A lot has happened since we've seen each other, and I'm kind of disappointed about that, but I got a little bit of news after the break, but like I said, I've got a couple of produced pieces here that I want to play for you that are from a project that I did a couple of weeks ago, just to demonstrate that I know how to use the content management systems that we're using here, which are like WordPress, and there's another one I can't really remember. I don't really use it too much, but they're pretty similar. One's for like individual web design, and the other's more for like organization type structure. Like if I was running a newsroom, I could have like all kind of permissions for editors and whatever. But like I said, I've got some news coming up after the break, but check out these produced pieces that I put together. I hope you like them. One's a political attack ad parody that I put together that pits two of my classmates against each other. And the other one is about a festival going on here in Lombard, July 1st through the 5th. It's called, ironically, The Taste of Lombard. So check those out. And I'll be right back right after that, right here on the Laugh or Else podcast. I am Tim Radicek.
Laugh
or else.
Walter Becker is running for Congress. And he's the type of guy that instead of stealing candy from babies, he gives them some. His opponent, Ryan Risky, was caught trying to bribe a federal judge in a misdemeanor jaywalking incident. Walter Becker is a good, God-loving Christian and attends prayer every Sunday. Ryan Risky worships the devil and sacrifices virgins in daily rituals. Walter Becker has helped hundreds of old ladies cross the street. Ryan Risky killed his grandmother. Walter Becker is a happily married man with 3 loving children. Ryan Risky has been divorced 16 times and has over 30 illegitimate children in 10 different countries. You can rest assured that a vote for Walter Becker in your district is a vote for confidence. You don't want Ryan Risky to run your district into the ground. Vote Walter Becker for Congress. This message was paid for by the Ministry of Propaganda.
Fuck you.
Hey Ryan, did you go to Taste of Lombard last year?
No, I had some friends who went last year, said it was lame.
They have a great lineup this year. Let It Rock with former LA Guns guitarist Stacey Blades, Filter of Heyman Nice Shot fame, and local talent competition.
I'll go if you pay for beer and the tickets.
Look man, we're gonna run into people we know. Don't be a stick in the mud.
We rejoin Ryan and Timmer a week after the Taste of Lombard.
I told you that it was going to be a complete waste of time. Nobody we knew was there, the music was awful, the food was terrible, and I missed out on a date with Jennifer over this, and she dumped me. Thanks, Timmer.
Don't be such a drama queen. She was already cheating on you anyway. I totally forgot to tell you about it.
Unless you like being alone on a Saturday night watching The Big Bang Theory, ask your girl to the Taste of Lombard July 1st through the 5th. Food, fun, and music awaits you in lovely Madison Meadow Park in Lombard, Illinois. For more information, call 630-375-7474 or visit tasteoflombard.com.
Laugh
or else.
All right, welcome back to the Laugh or Else podcast. I hope you enjoyed those little commercials I put together. I mentioned in the Taste of Lombard commercial about Stacey Blades from LA Guns. If you don't know, that was the foundation for the band Guns N' Roses. I can't remember what members of Guns N' Roses came from that band. I think it was Duff McKagan and maybe one other member of the band. But yeah, so that's an interesting tidbit right there. But enough of that. Let's get on to comedy news. I put together a little one sheet here about things going on since we last talked to each other. I know I'm trying to make it sound like a relationship, and it's kind of lame, so I'm just going to address you as the audience like I should, be a professional broadcaster, but I'm not really a professional yet. I haven't. The only experience I have interning was on television so far, and a lot of that has been editing and just camera work, so I'm not the personality I want to be, but I'm striving to be that, So just bear with me a little bit. All right, so let's get into the news. What's going on since the last time I put up a show? George Carlin, it's been 6 years since he passed away on June 22nd, 2008. June 22nd is actually 2 days after my birthday, and I celebrated my 35th birthday recently, so if you were guessing at how old I was, I'm still getting kind of old. Like time stops. No, it doesn't. I'm just continually getting older. But recently as well, as of last Thursday, in an article from laughspin.com, comedians Kevin Bartini and Adam Lash have fought tirelessly for 3 years to dedicate a block of New York City to the memory of the late, great George Carlin. And today, which was last Thursday, their work has paid off. Just moments ago, the New York City Council unanimously passed an omnibus bill that included George Carlin Way in this year's street renamings. Mayor de Blasio will formally sign the bill into who writes for Laughspin, you guys? I just snipped like a paragraph from your website. But Mayor de Blasio will formally, I think is the word you're looking for, sign the bill into law in 2 weeks. So kudos to Kevin Bartini and Adam Lash for getting this done. George Carlin was a legend. His comedy is timeless, as you can go back and watch anything from the 70s all the way up until the late 90s and early 2000s. Just a devout comedian. He was very wise for just as an observer of social things. Also, Dave Chappelle has resurfaced. Now, if you have no idea who Dave Chappelle is, turn this off and go watch, like, The Housewives of Beverly Hills or whatever the fuck it is that's out there. Because Dave Chappelle of Chappelle Show fame has recently resurfaced, and he looks ripped. This man is fucking jacked compared to the last time I seen him in, 7 or 8 years ago? When he was on Oprah, he was a skinny little twig. Now he's got like 22-inch biceps. He's rocking like a six-pack. He's got a fucking bullet head. He looks like a savage, like he'd be in the Octagon with Randy Couture or somebody like that. But he recently signed on for 6 shows in New York City's Radio Music Hall, and he sold out in a couple of hours, 10,000 seats a show, 6 shows, 60,000 people over the course of 2 weekends. And he was also in his lineup, he had musical guests Nas, The Roots, Erykah Badu, Busta Rhymes, Janelle Monáe, I don't know if I'm saying that right, DJ Premier, and more. And this is kind of like his block party that he put out about 10 years ago. It was just like a block party he set up somewhere. I don't know where it was. I've seen the video where, he puts it all together and then it's just a concert kind of deal in a park, but it's on a block. It's in somebody's neighborhood. Could you imagine having a block party put together by Dave Chappelle, and he invites all his best like musical friends, and this is some of the people that were there. Like Mos Def was pretty was in the block party, as well as Common, I want to say. Don't yell at me if I'm wrong about that. It's been 10 years since it's been out, and I've watched plenty of other comedy stuff since then. So. And last I remember, Mos Def was kind of exiled. I don't know. He said something about somebody, and like maybe he's doing a guest appearance during his recent sets, because this happened the 23rd through the 26th, and I want to say like the 29th was his last show, which is either today or yesterday. But Dave Chappelle's been around since last year trying out some stand-up, and if you guys remember, he had he was booed off stage. They say he was booed off stage, but he actually walked off stage because of an unruly crowd. And that show that he did that at was called the Oddball Comedy and Curiosity Festival, presented by Funny or Die, which is recirculating this year. And you can catch it on tour. Go check it out on Funny or Die for dates, whether or not it's coming to your area. But some of the acts included in this festival are Louis C.K., Amy Schumer, Aziz Ansari, Mark Maron, Bill Burr, Chris D'Ella, Chris Hardwick of At Midnight, if you know who Chris Hardwick is, and he does Talking Dead after the Walking Dead show. He does the Nerdist podcast, if you check that out. I mean, these are all things that are pretty good, and you should check them out. Dave Attell, Dimitri Martin, Hannibal Buress, my man from Chicago. If you don't know who he is, you ought to be knocked upside your head. I featured him last week, so go back to episode 6, check out Hannibal Buress. Jeff Ross, he's the current roast master on Comedy Central's Roasts. Jim Gaffigan, Beyond the Pale, Jim Jeffries, Alcoholocaust. Michael Che, who I just mentioned, he left Saturday Night Live to go do Jon Stewart's show. Nate Bargatze, Reggie Watts, and some others, including two that I had on my my ladies night out podcast, or what was it? I don't even remember, but the first two that I played in that are featured here at the Oddball Comedy and Curiosity Festival. But they're not funny. I don't think they are. Maybe you do. Also, we got Mike Birbiglia on a new Thank God for Jokes tour, which will be landing in Chicago September 19th. So if anybody from Chicago's listening, go get your tickets for that today. They will sell out quick. Mike Birbiglia is funny. Also, recent announcements that Chelsea Handler will be quitting Chelsea Lately sometime this fall or early winter. But she has signed a deal with Netflix for a new show. Details have not surfaced about what it's going to be, whether it's going to be some sort of talk show or just like some season episodes of like whatever, My Life as Chelsea, who knows. Also, last week, not this past last weekend, but the weekend prior, the Kids in the Hall opened a tour, and I wish I really could have gotten a chance to go see that, because if you don't know who the Kids in the Hall, they had a show on Comedy Central back in the 90s, the sketch group from Canada, featuring Dave Foley and the other guys who I can't think of off the top of my head, but they are really funny guys. You should know who Dave Foley is. He was on News Radio with Joe Rogan. He was in a movie. I can't remember which one. He's been in a number of movies. He's actually got his own movie that was pretty good. It was called The Wrong Guy. So if you're looking for something funny to watch, go check that out. Dave Foley is hilarious, and so are the Kids in the Hall. As well, the Monty Python boys are doing a reunion show. The last Python show will be televised or packaged for home media. So hopefully we'll be able to check that out when it hits. And if I see it, I'll make sure I do a little review or, just discuss what it is they're doing. The Pythons were always hilarious. John Cleese is great. Eric Idle, all them guys. All them guys are really funny. And finally, in comedy news, a sad story for us here in Chicago. A up-and-comer named Dan Ronan, R-O-N-A-N, who passed away. They found him dead in his home, and the guy was only 24 years old. And from what I've found on the internet, the reviews of local, comedy clubs and people who knew him called him fearless. He was he started off as a Second City improv trouper and just kind of took his act on stage. And, from what I've seen, he's kind of funny. He's very brash and abrasive. He's in your face. He's you can't tell that he's nervous on stage. So I guess that's why they call him fearless. And no subject is taboo to him. There really isn't that much out there on him. But from what I've seen, yeah, man, the comedy world is lacking now because, another one leaves us too soon. I don't want to say why. Well, there is speculation that maybe he died from an overdose, but that's all speculation, as no toxicology has been released, and I'm sure the family will not release anything if the results came back positive, because it's just kind of private stuff. Who wants that out in the public about their son? Everybody who knew Mitch Hedberg knew he was doing some stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. But what can you say to somebody like that? They just see their path and they make their own tracks. So yeah, Dan Ronan, age 24, Chicago comedy community is now mourning his loss from June 6th, and it's sad because maybe he would have came through where I work at some point, and I would have gotten a chance to see him live in person. All right, so that's comedy news. I'm already half an hour into my show, and I haven't even played a clip for you. And I've got a whole lot of stuff lined up for you. Like I said, great stuff from up-and-comers coming out of Chicago. Chicago is basically known as an improv town, and I wish we could change that image because improv is great, but it's not for everybody. Stand-up comedy is something you can take on the road and bring it to other cities, and the humor, if well-written, is good all over. It's like a universal currency to make people laugh. And it's getting harder and harder to find now that there's, people don't want to talk about certain subjects. Just recently in the news, I guess there's some backlash from Michelle Obama, who used the word gypped in one of her appearances on television. And apparently gypped is a racial term for gypsy, which I never knew. I just thought it meant you're getting ripped off. And that's the context she used it in. But apparently that's another word that's being added to the list of words you can't say on regular television. Even the news is like, that's what gets me about the news is when they report a story about something like this where a subject has become taboo recently, like the Redskins. MSNBC went a long way to say that they were not going to use the word Redskins in their broadcasts anymore. But I'm like, you're the fucking news, and it's your job to report on the Redskins. If it's in the context of the story, go ahead and use that word. Don't make it sound like you're going to be shot to death if you use this word, because that kind of promotes ignorance in the community and its social awkwardness. If I say the word Redskins and I'm talking about the football team, I don't need some slack-jawed asshole watching your show tell me I can't talk about it. Okay? I mean, I'm not even going to get into whether or not I agree with they should have to change their team logo and team name from the Redskins, because they should. Anybody with any sense of history knows exactly what the fuck Redskins means. And back in the 1700s, the Redskins was a term that the government used because they put a bounty on scalps for Indians, like stray Indians that were spread out across the country. And they would even advertise that, $75 for a redskin, which meant the scalp of a Native American. Now, if that ain't the most fucked up thing you ever heard, I don't know what is, man, because this is something that the media is spinning as it's just a racist thing. It's a racial issue. It's not. They're trying to, I've mentioned this before, they're trying to bury the history of these words, like trying to find people for saying a specific word. Well, look, if you're gonna ban the word Redskins and you're gonna use the U.S. Patent Office to eliminate their patents on the thing, so they're forced to trade, they're forced to get rid of this word. Go ahead and take the Tomahawk missile name and change that to something else. Go ahead and change the Apache helicopter name and change it to something else, because you're doing a great disservice by using military machines of death and naming them after these tribes of Native Americans, or even their weaponry. You're using it to name the weapons of the military. Come the fuck on, people. Let's get a clue about what's going on out there, and let's be angry about the real reason why this shit should anger you, okay? So enough of that. Let's get into the show. I'm sorry about the long-winded rants and whatever, but there's a lot of shit going on out there, and I'm not too happy about it. So if I've got more than 2 words to say about something and it's something I need to vent, I'm going to go ahead and do it here. So, I mean, this is the only outlet I have. I can't go on the television station I work at and say, like, let's talk about the Redskins, because I'm sure they're not having any of that. So, without further ado, I like to say that in my podcast. In fact, I said it so many times in one episode, I wanted to strangle myself. I think it's kind of a faux pas in the radio world to repeat yourself constantly, and I mentioned that before too. But hey, that's me. I can't really get over that until I've had my time on the air. So let's go ahead and get into the comedians the comedians that are here touring locally in Chicago. Now, the first guy I'm gonna play for you, he's kind of strange. I'm gonna admit he's if looks are anything to judge somebody by, this guy looks like, if you remember wrestling back in the 90s, he looks like Ravishing Rick Rude. I shit you not. This guy looks like an Italian or Jewish Ravishing Rick Rude, like identical. All he needs to do is grow his hair and wear some spandex with his fucking face on it. This guy looks just like him. And I'm sure he owns up to that, but you know, I haven't seen much more of him other than what I saw of him on Tuesday. So let's go ahead. Mike Lebovitz. All right, so maybe he is Jewish. The Jewish Ravishing Rick Rude. So check him out right here on the Laugh or Else podcast. I'm Tim Radicek.
Laugh
or else.
This is when it hit me though, man. This happened. I had this realization. This was a few months ago. It was over the winter. Winter's this thing we have back in Chicago. It's like I don't want to explain it to you. You imagine the way it feels inside at LAX. It feels like that outside. It was very cold at the airport, and I didn't like it. I'm in this coffee shop. I'm standing by the door. Okay, I'm trying to warm up or whatever. This young lady comes in. She's taking off her jacket. Okay. I mean, you know how women do. They be taking off jackets. You know what I mean? Yeah, they go outside where it's cold. They be putting them on. They come back inside where it's warm. They be taking them off. Shit. But here's what's different. This time as she opens it up, a button pops off. Oh no. Falls on the floor, it rolls away a little bit, right? So I see that, I come over, I bend down, I grab it. As I stand back up, this woman says to me, I'm not making this up, she goes, "Excuse me, can I have that back?" I want to know what the fuck she thinks I'm doing. Seriously, what else could possibly be happening right now? Like, does she honestly think I'm just going to be like, finders keepers? Yeah, this one's going in the collection. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was looking at me like I'd probably been standing there all day, just fucking waiting. You know? No, not yet. Oh, wait for it. Like a pervert with a button fetish. It's like, oh, finally, and that's from a Pico? It's stupid, man. It was. I'll tell you what, it was that minute I knew chivalry is dead. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I took the button, I put it in my mouth, I swallowed it, I fucking ran away. That's what I did. That's what I did. Sure, it gave me a tummy ache, okay? Well, that's okay, because that night, I pooped a button. What? Yeah, I like to party, Blues Cruise. You fellas know what I'm talking about. You pooped buttons before. That's right. Yeah. So, I am a father of two, by the way. Other people here got kids? Anyone else got kids? No. I'm our duly appointed representative, and I speak for everyone in the crowd. We do not have children. You got a couple, right? You just raised your hand. You got kids, right? Fuck that guy. Seriously, bend him over and fuck him right now. I want to watch. That would be weird. It's just not the kind of cruise this is. Is it? And clap it up for this gentleman who produced. Everyone was like, you people, no one would be here, so. I don't know. Something like that. No, but you should be proud of that, man. You should own that shit. You got kids. Good for you. We all make mistakes. You know what I mean? Me too. My first mistake just turned 10. I'm kidding. I don't know how old he is. He's cute though. He's at that age. He's losing those molars now. He's like, don't fucking listen. That's a joke. It's fun. It's fun. I just took the kids. I just took them to Six Flags. You guys remember Six Flags? Woo! Six Flags. Fuck yeah, good stuff, man. Oh, man, I'll tell you, here's a good way to tell when you're getting over the hill. If you ever wake up in the morning and the first thing that you say to yourself is, oh, fuck, I gotta go to Six Flags today. God damn it. You are done. Stick a fork in you. You're fucking finished, man. I used to love the amusement park. It is a whole different ballgame when you're the one footing the bill for that shit. It really is. It is. Seriously, I'm just walking around the park all day just like, no, you're not hungry. No, you're not. Sorry. No, you want to know how I know you're not hungry? Because there's a half-eaten piece of pizza on top of that garbage can, and you ain't eating it. So, couldn't be that fucking hungry. The wife and I just had a new baby a little while ago. Just had a new one. That's fine. Okay. All right, thank you. A little delayed on that one. We weren't sure how you felt about it. That's okay. That's fine. Is that a good thing? Okay. All right. No, that's cool. Just turned 1, so he's a year old, which is what that means. He's a year old. New baby's a year old, and I'll tell you guys this: I am starting to like him. I really am. You don't. This one fella, you know that you bring that new baby home from the hospital. At first, like, you don't know this fucking guy. You know what I mean? Right? It doesn't look promising at first. He's like a tiny old man. It's all shriveled up. He's incontinent. Okay. Then you got him home. You're like rocking him to sleep. You're wiping his ass. Like, all right, this is a pretty big commitment for some dude I just met. I just met this. I don't know anything about him. I don't know his music. I don't know his politics. I know he's always trying to get my wife's tits in his mouth. I'm not crazy about that. That's a strike against him. If any of you try to do that, you're fucking dead. But then we let it slide, whatever. It's cool. I don't feel threatened. I got a bigger dick. You know what I mean? So.
Laugh
or else.
That was Mike Lebovitz right here on the Laugh or Else podcast, a Chicago comedian. He made a quick snappy joke there about winters here in Chicago, and I'm glad they're over, but, you know, they'll be back around. Wow, if you didn't hear that, that is the mic stand here in the studio refusing to cooperate with where I want to put it. I'm probably going to edit that out, but fuck. You know, like I just mentioned, these studios could use some work. They could use some quality gear around here, and it's kind of upsetting that I'm paying so much to go here and these things are happening. So yeah, Mike Lebovitz right here on the Laugh or Else podcast. This show this week is about Chicago comedians, and I don't know about you, if you've got kids or not, but I don't plan to have any. And neither does this next comedian. She was also another featured act that I saw last Tuesday, and she's kind of not interested in having children. I don't know if it's because of her feminism, or or maybe she just doesn't like kids. I don't know. From what I've heard during her act, though, she's pretty dirty. She's vulgar. You can check her out on YouTube. She's got a number of clips out there right now. And I'm talking about Liza Treyger. Liza Treyger can be found on the Twitter at Glitter Cheese. I repeat, at Glitter Cheese. So that sounds tasty, and her comedy is pretty raw. So stay right there. This is the Laugh or Else podcast. I'm Tim Radicek.
Laugh
or else.
You guys are awesome. If I knew you, I wish I wore a better outfit. Because there's a lot of you and you're looking great. You're welcome. So fun. Have you ever met anyone and you just like know you're gonna be great friends? Like you just know you're gonna be best friends? I was at the movie theater and I saw this guy and he was carrying 4 hot dogs and a bag of M&Ms and he was doing a dance up the stairs and I'm like, we're gonna be such good friends. It's gonna be awesome. Oh. Yeah, I just got a job. Thank you. I'm a backup nanny, so it's good. It's going great. I'm not a like if the nanny can't make it, I come in. And it's pretty fun, but in the interview they're like, have you ever dealt with a crisis at another job that you can tell us about? And it was very close to saying the truth, which was, oh, well, once I was a chaperone for a Six Flags Great America trip and I lost a child. And I did not deal with it well. Because because I just screamed, "Where the hell did the fat black kid go?" And we didn't find him. I kept it quiet. My parents are a little upset. I feel bad for my parents because I always told them I'd be super rich by now. Like as a kid, I would be like, "Dad, I'm gonna be so rich and famous. By the time I'm 20, I'm gonna buy you a Cadillac. Like, don't even worry. When I am 20, you are gonna have a Cadillac." And then I turned 20 and I called my dad and he's like, "Ooh, did you get me a Cadillac?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm in jail." Change your plans. I'm gonna need more money. I don't know. Yeah, if you tell a cop that he was smart, he'd be a detective. You go to jail. Don't major in sociology, you know? You learn the truth. No, I majored in sociology because I just love smoking weed and chatting. And so, at first I wanted to major in PE, and then I was like, oh yeah, I hate sports and moving. So, I really love to smoke weed and chat. Talk about poor people. So whenever my parents are a little upset or disappointed in me, to gauge how upset they are, like, you know, when I keep going to jail, I like to see how upset they are. I'm like, listen, are you more or less disappointed than the time you found out it was me peeing behind the couch for months? I just thought hocus pocus switches were gonna come out of the toilet. But thank you for providing this awesome spot behind the couch. You guys are so great. Well, I was gonna lie and be like, oh, I was visiting my parents, but I live with them, and it's great. Okay, everyone always wants to know how terrible it is and all these awful stories, and I really enjoy it. The only like tough thing for me to deal with is like, it's kind of weird, but I have like really hard nipples all the time. And I just like don't want my dad to get the wrong idea. So that's like very tough for me. It was weird. We were playing dominoes and we were like in the kitchen, and then I looked, and on the kitchen table there was a bottle of Viagra. And at first I was like, you know what? It's fine. Get it. You guys grew up in communism. That must have sucked. Like, good for you. And then I was just like, Dad, Mom has 2 fake hips. You gotta be careful. You really like her. They're really cute. I feel bad. I'm not gonna give them grandkids. I do not want to have children at all. I think it's pretty disgusting. But I do pretend I have children when I go to the gym. Because then, like, everyone is so impressed by my body. Like, oh my God, you look incredible. I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Little Emma, she's 2 months old. She's a giggle monster. It's so great. Yeah, no, you think you know what love is, but you don't. I do. It's really great. Thank you. So gross. Pregnant women are disgusting. Never. Are you like, you're so, like, no, I do not want to pat your belly. Put on a shirt and sit down. You are so gross. Your belly button is growing out and trying to get away from you. Because you are so disgusting. Pregnant women want gifts for their babies, and I do not buy gifts for babies. I feel like buying a gift for a baby is like buying someone in a coma a new dress. I don't know how to use it. I'm not going to remember it. And they're going to shit all over it. Thanks so much, you guys are great.
Laugh or else.
Liza Treyger, everybody, right here on the Laugh or Else podcast. She was the featured act in Friday night's performance where the headliner was Kevin Bozeman, another Chicago guy. He's really funny. I'll be playing him a little bit later. But Bozeman made some kind of joke. He was tagging some of her lines after she got off stage. And the running joke was furiously fingering that Liza Treyger was talking about. And Bozeman kind of, he brought that into his act somewhere. And after the show, he said something on stage about the Notebook, he went into this bit about crying, that once he started crying as he got older, he can't help but cry at everything that's emotional now. And then he said, except for the Notebook, which if you haven't seen the Notebook, it's about a married couple that's married for like 50 years, and she eventually gets Alzheimer's and forgets her husband. And Bozeman said that he's not interested in crying, I don't know if interested is the word, but he doesn't cry to the Notebook, but he jerks to it. So I tweeted that to him later after the show, and he's like, wow, that makes me seem kind of evil. And then I responded one more time, and I was like, there's no shame in wanting to furiously finger that silver fox. And I was like, I tagged glitter cheese in that, Liza Treyger. So we had she favorited the tweet. So I mean, she was kind of offended at one point during her show because she kind of shit on hockey, and the hockey fans here in Chicago are pretty upset that they were in third place after losing to the Kings. So they let her know about it, and then she tweeted that the crowd was more upset about her shitting on hockey than they were about domestic violence, which is understandable. I mean, Chicago's a hockey town where it's always cold, woman. So if you're going to shit on a sport, pick the Cubs, because the Cubs are easily the first team you shit on when you come to Chicago. Everybody will jump on that bandwagon with you. So stay away from the Hawks. People are kind of sensitive. The wounds are still kind of open. Because, had the Hawks won that 7th game against the Kings, they would have been the champions again this year and would have been the only team to go back-to-back in the last 30-something years. So like I said, Liza, if you're out there listening, don't shit on Chicago's hockey team. They will cry, bitch, and moan about it. So in regards to domestic violence, that's no comparison to these fans. Fans get really emotional. You know how people are. All right, so moving on. I got more stuff from Chicago, as well as a couple of acts that are on the current season of Last Comic Standing. One I saw about 2 weeks ago. Very funny. She's PG-13, I'd say. I don't know if she used the F word, fuck, or shit or bitch or anything like that. She's been on Ellen DeGeneres. She's had, like I said, numerous appearances on Last Comic Standing. And as far as the season goes, I believe she's still on the panel. Not the panel, but she's still a contestant. She hasn't been eliminated yet. But like I said, they film these things months in advance, so she knows the outcome already. But she did an hour set, so that must mean she's going to continue a little longer, at least, because they only get 3 to 5 minutes per appearance on Last Comic Standing. And that's really not enough time to do anything special or say a whole lot. So I am talking about Miss Erin Jackson right here on the Laugh or Else podcast.
Laugh
or else.
So let's jump right in. My last boyfriend dumped me through a Facebook relationship status update. Yeah. Just changed it from in a relationship to single and thought that was gonna be the end of it. That's the funny part. I was like, dude, you realize you still live here, right? I can see you. You can't just sit on the sofa and dump me on our Wi-Fi connection. That's so rude. Worst part about the whole breakup, though, is this. You guys know, if you're on Facebook and you want to link your profile with someone else's to show that you're together, both people have to confirm that they are in the relationship. But there is zero cooperation required for the breakup, which I think is shady. Really, Facebook, I can't get a breakup pop-up or nothing? I feel like I deserve that. At least a little something. Hey, Erin, Kevin was thinking about ending this relationship. At least that would give me the choice to either approve or ignore, right? Like, nah, Facebook, you can tell Kevin we still go together. And rent is due. Went to the doctor recently. He was like, Ms. Jackson, can you tell me what form of birth control you're currently using? And I was like, sure, doc. Right now, I am using the no penis method. It's not much fun, but I hear it's only failed once. Yeah. Been trying to get in shape. I actually went to a sporting goods store to buy some workout clothes, and I found out that they don't make workout clothes for people who really need to work out. Yeah, everything in that store was a size invisible. I was like, yeah, if I could fit this, problem solved. Do you guys have a beginner section somewhere, maybe in the back? I've been jogging. I've lost 11 pounds so far. Feel free to clap. Yes. But I hate every second of the jogging. I hate it. My best friend's a runner, and she tried to encourage me. She was like, Erin, once you get in a routine, you're gonna love it. You're gonna wanna get up every day and start it with a jog, because jogging energizes you. I'm like, yeah, then I'm doing it wrong, because it just makes me sleepy. I'm not fully convinced that jogging is how I lost the weight at all. I just think that when I get back from running, I'm too sleepy to drive to Wendy's, and then that's why the weight falls off. I'm not sure. Yeah. I hate my dentist. I actually, on my last visit, I almost slapped him. Because I went in for a crown, and he pulls out the shade guide they use to help match the crown to your teeth, okay? But then he points to a color that looks like Mountain Dew. And he's like, yeah, Miss Jackson, I think that's about right. Yeah, any lighter than this and it's gonna be way too white. And first of all, it's my mouth and I'm paying for it, and if I want the whitest tooth on that chart, you're gonna put it in my mouth. Second, you don't know, maybe my plan was to get one super white tooth, okay? And then encourage the rest of my teeth to try harder and apply themselves. But he kept yapping, no, Miss Jackson, any lighter than this, and it's not gonna fit in. He says, like we're integrating a neighborhood or a school system or something. Fit in. It's a porcelain cap in the back of my mouth. It's not West Side Story in there. Well, how do we know her white tooth is gonna get along with the rest of her Puerto Rican teeth? How will we know? He almost got smacked. My parents are retired now, and their new favorite pastime is to walk me around their house and then point out all the things that are going to be mine when they pass away. Have you been on the inheritance tour? Yes. I was over there a few weeks ago. My mother had bought a new lamp for her living room. I said, Mom, that is a gorgeous lamp. Where'd you get that? She said, don't worry about where I got it, because we have another one now just like it upstairs in our bedroom. And if something ever happens to me or your dad, you'll have a matching set. I was like, wow, thanks, Mom. That is an awesome way for me to get 2 new lamps. Yeah. Or you could just tell me where you bought it like I asked you. And you and Daddy could live. See? My mom's trying to become more tech savvy, so she is texting now. Yeah, here's why old people shouldn't do that. I sent my mom a text the other day. She called me back later in the afternoon. She said, hey, Erin, quick question. In the text you sent me earlier, what does BTW stand for? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, Mom, for the abbreviation. It stands for by the way. And she said, oh, yeah, that makes more sense. And I was like, more sense? What did you think it stood for? And she said, Booker T. Washington, because she's 60, and that was her first guess. Yes, just ignoring all context, just yes, why not prominent figures in Negro history? Yes. Booker T. Washington, what time are we going to dinner? That makes perfect sense. She's awesome. One of my best friends stopped speaking to me recently. Because she came to my house and I still had her save-the-date wedding magnet on my refrigerator, and she's divorced now. She saw it and starts bugging out. She's like, oh my God, Erin, I can't believe you still have that. Why would you keep that when you know what he put me through? And I was like, because it's a good-ass magnet, that's why. It's 6 years old, it's holding up 4 takeout menus and a photograph. That is an amazing magnet. You don't just find magnets that good every day. She was like, I shouldn't have to come to my friend's house and be reminded of him. I was like, you don't, because y'all have 3 kids and they live with you. The baby looks just like him. You can stay home and be reminded of him. She was like, really, Erin? Really? A real friend would get rid of that. And I was like, no, Angela, a real friend would appreciate the difficulty in finding quality magnets. And she shut her face. I mean, it's not my fault. Your magnet stuck around longer than your husband did. You chose them both. Yes. You guys, thank you so much.
Laugh
or else.
Welcome back to the Laugh or Else podcast. You just heard Miss Erin Jackson, current contestant on Last Comic Standing Season 8. And I know what you're saying. Timmer, she's not from Chicago. Yeah, I know, but she's funny, all right? And I had to throw her in there because I seen her recently. Like I said, being at this new job, working at a comedy club, I get to overhear a lot of the acts that are going on. And she had a great feature that opened for her. He had this fucking insane bit about sexual innuendos in baseball, like, you know, getting the second base would be grabbing a tit or whatever. But he continued. He went on. He's like, I don't think that covers enough. And he went on, and he had some great analogies that I wish I remembered his name, and I would have featured him here. He would have got some time. But, like, you know, all these comedians are pretty sensitive about their new material getting on the internet. And I can understand that because you're working on that and you don't want, like, some random schlub in Detroit ripping off your material and trying to call it his own, especially when you're touring with that material. You know, you're trying to get paid to be funny and somebody else is doing your jokes like fucking 200 miles away. That's tragedy. I'd beat some ass over that. And a lot of people are doing that. But then again, there are premises that people think of that, like, it's a kind of universal thing. Like if you're waiting in line at the bank or the DMV, you know, those are kind of cheap jokes, but a lot of people come across the same ideas regardless of hearing another comedian tell those same jokes. You know, it's just kind of funny. People think in a specific way, and funny is going to cross like regions, you know, like somebody across the world will have the same idea as you. You just got to put it out there first, or at least make it your own by giving it personality and, you know, personal experience. So moving right along the Chicago comedy podcast here. I wish I had some interviews. I need to get me a Zoom mic and bring it along. Maybe they'll allow me to get some interviews after some of these shows. I seen that they put on a podcast right after on a Wednesday. So maybe there is some correlation there that I can get approval from maybe the regional manager or the manager of the club itself, and find out if any of the comedians would be willing to participate in an interview. But that's somewhere down the road, and I can only hope. So let's keep this show moving right along. I got another great comedian lined up for you here. This one's going to be another female. She was also part of the Tuesday 10. She stood out a little bit to me. She was, it seems like she's got great ideas, great premises, but she just needs to work on her punchlines and her tags. Like tags, when a comedian tags a joke, like delivers the setup, right? Then he hits you with the punchline, and then he goes on for like 2 or 3 more sentences about the thing that makes the crowd laugh. That's called a tag. And she just needs some experience. All she's got to do is get around the Midwest a little more and work on, you know, her delivery. And I think she'll be incredibly funny about a year or 2 from now. And I'm talking about Miss Pamela Calm. That's C-A-L-M, like calm. You know, I'm calm and collected. And you can find her on the Twitter as well. But you'll find her right here, right now, on the Laugh or Else podcast.
Laugh
or else.
I'm trying to read more, getting mature, making better decisions. Like I read a lot more magazine titles when I'm shopping for munchies at Walgreens. Shoplifting munchies.
at Walgreens. I saw one the other day that just caught me. It was a picture of a cute little baby on Time magazine and said, "Is your baby racist?" Is that a challenge? Mines are like sponges, you know? I think I want to be a mom. Yikes, everybody. I feel like, okay, you gotta get a man first. I get it, stop hassling me. I know that now already. So I'm trying to like get in shape. I always have like hopped on whatever the fad is, the trend to, you know, get buff or whatever. Like back in the day, my sister and I went in on those Trim Spa pills. Remember Anna Nicole Smith sold like a health supplement? Trim Spa, baby! Faceplant, you know? The beach was never so blurry. And like, my sister and I had totally different strategies there. I was looking at Anna Nicole Smith going, oh my God, if you can be that fucked up and lose weight, those pills are awesome. My sister was like, I want to be fucked up. She won. I got the shake weight now, you know. It's good practice for motherhood because babies are heavy, you need some arm strength, but can't shake your baby, gotta change your routine, gotta be careful there. And you know, I figured if I can't have the best body, I'm gonna get the best face, okay? So I got that Proactive, because Katy Perry's a spokesperson and she's gorgeous, right? But it does not matter how many times you wash your face, your tits will never look that good in a plastic dress. I had to change a few times today. This is stretch cotton, so. So the biological clock is something I'm reckoning with. That's real. That's terrifying and it's real. I figured out if I have one, mine is a cuckoo clock. Thank you. Yeah. I can totally commit forever to the idea of loving something that comes out of here, but I've trained myself very well to be skeptical of anything that wants to get in. Like, okay, all right. I had a moment the other day where I made eye contact with a baby on the bus. Scary choice. It was so cute, and we were just like smiling at each other and having this moment and like just looking into that baby's eyes. I totally understood kidnapping. I could do this. It happened again, like I actually checked my iPhone later that day. Thanks to Apple, I know I was ovulating that day. So there is some science to this whole thing. It happened again about a month exactly earlier when there was this little boy in my restaurant. He knocked over his cup of juice and I was cleaning it up. And he came up to me and he put his little hand on my shoulder and he goes, "It's okay. Sometimes this stuff just happens." I love him. He actually came in a couple weeks later and I got flushed like when your crush is in the room. Just the amount of eye contact, I'm like, wow, we have a very inappropriate relationship. Public cervix announcement. Hold on to your kids. I will try to take them. I want them. So you have to be careful, like walking around out on the streets. You guys familiar with these things? The streets. You never know what you're gonna get. I was wandering around by myself one time and I saw this guy coming towards me. He looked like a really bad person, and I got freaked out. I'm a lady by myself. I'm like, oh God, what do I do? Do I like cross the street? Do I act equally crazy, or do I like call my mom? Like, what do I do right now? And just as I was mid-panic, we passed each other, and he just smiled at me and he goes, "Hello." And I was like, oh, what a relief. I'm a bad person. And I was judging the shit out of him. Guys, give it up for our audience. We got a birthday coming up. One of these people, it's their first time watching improv, so let's make it very exciting. Let's dazzle them, shall we? He gave me cigarettes. I like him. You never know what you're gonna get about the streets, though, guys. Sometimes I like to try, like, because I think it's really flattering when people ask me for money that they think I'm not also broke enough to be homeless, which usually I am. But, like, I can't help them, so I just try to, like, put in my headphones and, you know, do the right thing and ignore them. And I try to, like, make up in my head what I think they're saying. Like, this lady was walking towards me holding out a handful of pennies, and she had a big sore on her head. And in my head, she was saying to me, I got shot in the head and all these pennies fell out.
Laugh
or else.
You just heard Miss Pamela Calm on the Laugh or Else podcast. another up-and-coming Chicago comedian. She's that clip was taken from an improv group. Well, not the group itself, but there was an improv performance that evening. A lot of these clips that I'm gonna play are like webcam kind of quality or, cell phone cam. And I can't help that because, like I said, these are up-and-comers and they're not really well-known, so they're not getting all of that kind of attention, and everybody and their mama isn't fucking fighting elbows to assholes trying to get video of these people. So hopefully a year from now, you'll be like, oh, man, I remember hearing that on the Laugh or Else podcast. This dude or that chick is funny. And that's what I'm trying to provide here. I'm trying to provide a glimpse at the up-and-comers here in Chicago, and hopefully I'm building a name for myself while I'm at it. Sorry, I have no cough button, which means, like, I might as well be doing this in a closet, like with my first recorder from play school, like I don't have all the resources. Like I was doing the show where I would put all the clips on a CD, and then I would try to play the CD on top of my vocal tracks and, try to mix the balance as in real time. But that's getting kind of pretentious. Like I don't have that kind of money to dish out for CDs to just burn for like half an hour's worth of comedians, and, so I just kind of do it off a flash drive now, and it's all kind of put together. But hey, it is what it is, and I'm doing it. So if you don't like it, go fucking do your own show. And then, you could point a link to it somewhere on my Twitter feed, because I'm at TIMM_3R. That's at TIMM_3R. You can find me on WordPress at t1mm3r.wordpress.com, or you could find the Laugh or Else podcast fan page on Facebook. Go check that out. I need some more likes, people. I only got 17, which means 2 of them are actually probably listening for a minute or two. According to YouTube analytics, I'm getting a whopping 12 minutes of viewing every episode. So I mean, if I'm getting 17 views and only 12 minutes of viewing, that means somebody's just clicking in and not listening at all. And I appreciate the clicks, but I'm not getting paid for it. So stick around and try to listen and give me some feedback. I'm not afraid to deal with some criticism, all right, people? Go to my Facebook page, the Laugh or Else Facebook fan page. Hit me on Twitter. Tell me I'm an asshole. I don't give a shit. Just fucking... let's have a conversation. Let's interact. I'm doing what I can to put a name out there, and I'm getting some attention from the other broadcasters here at school, but I need some community attention. All right, I'm begging. No, I'm not begging. I'm not e-begging yet. I'm not asking for donations for likes. So let's get that out of the way right now. But I'm running along here this episode. So I'm going to cut down the rest of my playlist to 2 more comedians, and then I'm going to sign out. So let's get into a Midwestern comedian. He's from the Midwest here. He's not exactly from Chicago, but he appeared here last Tuesday with the Tuesday 10. Well, actually, I'm going to go with 3 because, like I said, I got a clip from the comedian who passed away, Dan Ronan, so I'll play him last. But I've got 2 more other clips that I'd like to play. And this guy, like I said, he's from the Midwest. He's from Cleveland. He won the Cleveland Comedy Festival there in 2013, and I don't know if he's defending his title this year because I believe the Cleveland Comedy Fest is going on sometime now, or maybe it already ended. But I'm talking about one Mr. Brad Wenzel. That's Wenzel. Brad Wenzel. Check him out right here on the Laugh or Else podcast.
Laugh
or Else.
So I work at a golf course, and this old man said to me, "What's your handicap?" And I said, "I care too much."
I care too much.
And he said, "What?" And I said, "I don't golf," and I walked away. Why do they call the teeth in the back of your mouth wisdom teeth? I use the ones in the front to judge intelligence. I don't even have great teeth. I have like Target teeth. And you might not know what Target teeth are, but you'll know Walmart teeth when you see them. I'm kind of a lonely guy. I know I'm lonely because one time I had to prolong a haircut in order to have time for my boner to go away. That's lonely. I just kept telling her to take some more off the top. I ended up bald, none of my friends knew why. I didn't want to explain to them that a trip to Great Clips is cheaper than a lap dance. She gave me a coupon after. I couldn't even look her in the eye. I was like, Jesus, Brad, that's someone's grandmother. Do you think SpongeBob has trouble sleeping knowing Al-Qaeda knows exactly where he lives? They've been scoping out that pineapple for years. That one's just for me. So I was doing some online shopping the other day, and I came across this product called bear mace, and I was like, great, as if raping a bear wasn't dangerous enough. I'm Catholic, my phone has no religion. I say that because if my phone believed in reincarnation, it would be very disappointed. Every time it dies, it just comes back as a phone. And my phone, he's like, this guy again? It's not even interesting, he just tweets and ignores his ex-girlfriend. That one hurts to do. I don't think I'd be a very good parent. Like, if my kids ever talk back to me, I'll be quick to remind them that I totally banged their mom. It's gotta be the fastest way to humble an 8-year-old. Oh yeah, I'm the bad guy. When you see that pretty little thing making you toaster strudel, I bent her over last night. Yeah, wash your hands. I don't like to exercise, but I do like to inspire people. That's why when I go to the gym, I don't work out. I just approach strangers, hold up a giant pair of pants, and say, hey, you can do it too. So I got molested by my therapist, and the worst part is I don't know who to talk to about it. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's really messed up how the Indians stole that land from the dinosaurs. Who are the real victims? I may or may not be speaking from experience, but sleepwalking and morning wood is the best combination for ruining Christmas. baby, if you draw a baby on an Etch-a-Sketch, then can you shake it?
Laugh or else.
Brad Wenzel right here on the Laugh or Else podcast, everybody. And if you didn't notice, I had to slap together a couple of clips there just to get some length out of it. And in the second portion of that clip, you can hear what it's like sitting in a comedy club with people who fucking talk, or they have dinner plates and silverware. It's annoying as fuck. And I don't understand why comedy clubs would serve you like pasta or like salads and shit on glass dishware. For recording purposes, it's atrocious, but for bootleg bullshit like what I've got here, that's pretty all right. You know, what I can't complain. What am I gonna say? Like, I want better audio, or else I'm gonna stop recording. Yeah, you shouldn't be recording anyway. Once you sit in a comedy club, they tell you, put your goddamn phones away, no flash photography, no talking, be courteous to the people around you as well as the comedians. The first night that I was there, during the second show, I think it was Erin Jackson who appeared there. There was this socially awkward, weird dude that came for the second show, and he sat by himself. And the opener, the guy who warms the crowd up, you know, he asks about birthdays and stuff and just kind of gets a general sense of what the audience is, how they're feeling. This guy couldn't shut his trap. He was just fucking rambling for nonsense at miles a minute. Every time the opener would say something like, who here's celebrating a birthday? This guy would say something like, I celebrated a birthday 3 months ago. He's like, okay, sir, more recently, I'm looking for somebody here whose birthday it is tonight. He's like, well, it's my friend's mama's grandmother's mailman's birthday. And this guy would just fucking interject. We had to go and tell him, like, yo, dude, keep your fucking trap shut. This isn't like a debate. This isn't like a town hall meeting. You need to just sit there and fucking listen. So keep your trap shut. And then, oh, boy, when that opener started talking about weed, this guy couldn't contain himself. All he wanted to do was talk about like the 17 bowls he smoked before he came in there. Now I'm all for like legalizing marijuana, but dude, it's not a religion. You don't need to knock on my door like Jehovah's Witnesses and try to sell it to me. I understand what it's about. Keep that shit to yourself, all right? Nobody, it's kind of getting socially acceptable. In certain places it's legal to smoke it recreationally, but let's not be that guy, okay? All right, so just a little heads up. If you're going out to see a show anywhere, if you don't like the act, just get up and walk the fuck out. If you don't like what you're seeing on the stage and you want to be combative with the artist on stage, don't do that. Because 9 out of 10 times you'll get smashed into oblivion, and I've seen people leave shows crying because, like, the act on stage just didn't want to deal with it, you know. And it's happened consistently every night I've been there, except for during the Tuesday 10, the open micers. Like, people are a little bit more respectful of people trying to hone their craft, but it's like when somebody says they've been on television and then their jokes are kind of stale. That's when the crowd gets like, oh, well, I think I should just shout some random shit out right now. And it's just awful, dude. Like, nobody goes to your job. This is a common line you'll hear from a comedian in response to somebody heckling is, I don't come to your job and pull the mop out of your hand, or I don't come to your job and slap the baby out of your hand, or whatever it is you do. First of all, they'll get to know who you are, and that's just ammunition. So if Brad Wenzel, he was trying to do some crowd work, and he asked the guy right there in the front of the audience, he's like, you, sir, what is it? What's your name? Okay, what do you do? And the guy's like, I forgot what he said he was a bank manager. And then Wenzel pulled this piece of paper out of his pocket, and he's like, we're going to try this again, but could you tell me this? And he gave him the piece of paper, and I forgot what it was, but yeah, so he was kind of interacting. But a genuine comedian who's ferocious and like the Don Rickles insult comic type, He's not going to have that. And they'll tell you to shut your fucking face right there. And I don't disagree with that. If you're being obnoxious, even the people around you should fucking boo your ass right out of there. And that's happened too. Like, a comedian can turn a crowd on you, and then they'll have you booed out of the club. But where I work, there's police. The area is full of police because it's kind of like it's like a cul-de-sac of bars and clubs and just entertainment over there. So there's cops constantly roaming the place. And if you get completely out of hand, I could just walk out front and flag down one of these cops and have you dragged out in handcuffs. And if you get obnoxious with a cop, they're not going to take any shit. They're just going to spray you with mace and hog tie your ass and throw you in the back of a car. And that's it. It's all over. So be respectful when you go out to a club. I mean, go check out your friends. If your friends say they're doing comedy, go see them and then stick around to see all the other talent that's out there. Just give them the time. That's all, you know. Don't just keep your mouth shut. Pretend you're sitting in class, you know, learning about the stars or some biology or something, you know. Take it for what it is. It's comedy. People are there to have a good time. Don't spoil it for nobody. All right. So we got 2 more comedians here before the show ends. And this next guy is the featured, well, not the featured, but he was the headliner of the show last Friday. And he's also a Chicago native. He's very funny, man. I've never heard of this guy. And all the people that work at the venue were like, man, every time he comes around, like the waitstaff was saying, every time they're bringing out trays full of drinks and stuff, like they're shaking because they're laughing so hard. And it's true, man. This guy is really funny. I am talking about one Mr. Kevin Bozeman right here on the Laugh or Else podcast.
Laugh
or else.
But my dream job is to be in NASCAR. And I always wanted to be in NASCAR because I believe that black people add to a sport. Okay, you ever watch a little NASCAR? Imagine some black people on there racing. How fun would that be? Announcer like, oh, this is a great race. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, neck to neck, back to back. Looks like it's gonna come down to the wire between those two, but wait a minute, what's that noise? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Tyrone. Tyrone Abdullah Jackson, who's sponsored by Old English 800 and Kool-Aid. Has just taken the lead. Apparently the glare from his hubcaps has blinded the rest of the drivers. All of this on $2 worth of gas. I have to tell you folks, I did not know that a 1987 Chevy Impala could go that fast. I drove here. You ever drive so much, it's so long, you get so bored, you just want to crash into a tree? Not enough to hurt yourself, but just enough for somebody had to come over and talk to you. They're like, oh my God, are you all right? You're like, hey, what's your name? Just a little blood, give me some love, dog. I do lots of traveling. As part of my job, I'm actually starting to fly more, so I'm getting funnier. I like to fly because they got a lot of bullshit surcharges on your plane ticket. You ever look at your plane ticket? You know they actually charge you $5 for a September 11th security fee? And maybe it's just me. I just kind of thought that came with the flight. I buy a plane ticket, you don't crash into a building. They like, nope, that costs $5 extra. I just feel like you ever on a plane that gets hijacked, you got the right to stand up and be like, who didn't pay their $5? Who didn't pay their $5? We about to crash into a building because you skimping on $5? Trying to buy yourself a foot-long Subway sandwich? I love being a comic though, man. I'm not gonna lie. If I wasn't a comic, I probably would be a criminal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would. I'd be a good one though, because I'm really smart. As most of you can tell by now. I don't think they can catch me. And even if they did catch me, I wouldn't care, because I'm pleading insanity, and that's the way to go. People go, man, to plead insanity, you gotta have a hell of a lawyer. Not me, I'm representing myself. Because what screams more crazy than interrogating your own self on a witness stand? It'll be like, now me, where was I at on the night of Sunday, December 23rd? I was with you, exactly. How could I committed the crime if we were together the whole time? He's a lunatic.
This is one of my favorite clubs to come to. I like it because it's a comedy club on top and there's a club right below it. You don't have to go anywhere. I like going to clubs, especially safe clubs. I was in East St. Louis. It's not a safe club out there. You ever go to the club that's so ghetto and they start shooting in the club and the DJ try to act like that's part of the song? Like a fight broke out, somebody like, this is some bull, and pull out a gun like, pow, pow, pow. The DJ was like, remix! That's not how the song goes. Usher don't have bullets. Plus you get to go to the club and meet the ladies. That's why I like coming to college towns, to meet the ladies. I love all kinds of women. Black women, white women, Mexicans, Asians, love them all. I had an Asian girlfriend once. She was great. Very beautiful, very thoughtful. Like for Valentine's Day, she made me a pair of homemade Nikes. Holy shit, me do love you a long time. There's a lot of stereotypes out there. And most of them are true, but we should embrace them. Everybody's always like, you shouldn't stereotype. Well, if I don't stereotype, how else am I supposed to judge you? What kills me is there's a lot more true stereotypes out there, but nobody ever talks about it. They're not very specific. But they're more true than anything else that's out there. Like, for example, people that collect comic books. They don't like to shower. But who talks about that? Vegetarians are gassy. People that wear camouflage is not in the military, chronic masturbators. No one talks about it. Someone's in the bushes right now, whacking and going, you'll never see me. I do see you, Rambo. Get out my backyard. The flowers don't need that kind of protein. I'm calling the cops. Yeah, eat it, but not in my bushes. Being stereotyped, to be honest. I just hate being misstereotyped. You have somebody stereotype you, but they get it wrong. And one time I walked out this old white guy's house. He's like, hey boy, you like, you can do some yard work. I'm like, hello, those are Mexicans.
Laugh
or else.
Welcome back to the Laugh or Else podcast. You just heard Kevin Bozeman, Bozeman. Chicago native. He's had his own Comedy Central half hour. He's been on the Down and Dirty podcast or radio show. Check that out. He's just an all-around funny guy, man. I mean, like, you heard it. I had to put a couple of clips together there because, you know, local comedy usually gets done. Like, the recordings are usually kind of bootleg, and that's all I really got to work with. I looked high and low through the list of Comedy Central specials to find his, and I couldn't dig it up anywhere, which I'm ashamed to say that because I have like 4 or 5 seasons on DVD, and I don't have him. I have a majority of the earlier ones, like with Mitch Hedberg and Greg Giraldo. Because that's when I was working a decent job and I had some extra money to spend on those things. Yeah, those were the days. But anyway, we got one more comedian coming up for you. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, he was a youngster from the Chicagoland area, a native to Wilmette in Illinois here. He passed on when he was 24 recently on June 6th. And you know, Chicago comedy is mourning because this guy was pretty abrasive. He was pretty funny, you know. I mean, I'm not going to say he's theater funny. He's not Kevin Hart, Louis C.K., you know, those Bill Burr kind of funny, but he was getting there, you know. 5 years, this guy would have been on television everywhere. I'm assure you of that. You know, all the Chicago media and club owners and people that did gigs with him called him fearless. And that's what you need to be when you're on stage. You can't have any fear. You can't fear repercussions from people writing blogs or, critics or anything. And apparently he had that, man. I only wish I could have seen him before this tragedy happened. But I'm talking about Dan Ronan, Ronan. Go check him out. His Twitter is still out there, Dan Ronan, at Dan Ronan. There are a few clips of him on YouTube, and you're going to hear one of the ones that I pulled off of YouTube of Dan Ronan, and that's going to wrap it up for me here on the Laugh or Else podcast. But I'll come back and say goodbye and thank you after the clip of Dan Ronan right here on the Laugh or Else podcast.
Laugh
or else.
Round of applause. Do we have any selfish people in the crowd tonight? What an evil city. That's awesome. No, you're in good company. I'm a very selfish person. I'll give you guys an example. About a month ago, I was doing a show, and my buddy was on the show. And at the end of his set, he got down on one knee and proposed to his girlfriend sitting in the front row. And they kissed. They ran backstage together, and they left. It was this totally magical moment. But my first thought was, oh man, I was going to ask him for a ride. I know I look like a young, hot party bitch up here. One of these crazy bitches that likes to party. I don't party anymore. I used to party a lot when I was in high school, but I had to stop drinking and everything because I have a very addictive personality. I got a reminder a couple weeks back, I was sick. I had a bad cough, so I was drinking NyQuil every night. And I don't know if you guys know this, but NyQuil can kind of fuck you up if you do it right. And then I got better. The cough went away, but I kept drinking NyQuil because I was like, I don't know if the cough's going to come back. And then one night I was on my way out the door for a night at a bar with some friends, and I saw the NyQuil on the windowsill. And I was like, you know what I should do? I should take the NyQuil with me to the bar, drink it right when I get to the bar. That way I'll be more relaxed the whole night. The second part of my brain was like, hold on, Dan, that sounds a little drug addict. The first part of my brain was like, well, it's not drug addict, I'm not gonna fucking inject it. And then both parts of my brain were like, I wonder if that would work. I like NyQuil. I like anything that makes you unconscious. I think that's great. Reality's very big and scary, and I'm a tiny, frightened boy in a button-up, Madison. I like those over-the-counter sleeping pills because you can take them, and whatever situation you were in, you're out of. It's awesome. Like, I wish it was socially acceptable to take sleeping pills all the time. Because I think it would be great to be at a party and some girl's just like, yeah, so this is my friend Rachel. Don't care, sleeping pill. Don't care about your dumb friend. It's weird that I'm as scared of reality as I am that I have such a hard time dealing with it. Because as you guys have probably guessed, my life is pretty cushy. Like, I'm a middle-class white boy from the suburbs. That's as easy as it gets. Like, I don't know what I would do if I lived in an actual difficult environment. I feel like if I lived in Detroit, I would just spend the whole time fainting. And just like a delicate southern belle, every morning I would stroll out the front door twirling a parasol. I'd be like, good gosh, the poverty. Then some homeless guy would wake me up shaking me. And I'd be like, where am I? And he'd be like, Detroit. And I'd be like, oh, goodness gracious. Out cold again. One good thing I have going for me in this reality we call the world right now is I have a girlfriend. Sorry, ladies. And curious gentlemen, I know you're out there. I have a girlfriend now. We've been going out for about a year and a half now. And recently I started texting with this other girl that I became friends with. And my girlfriend found out about it because I told her. And she got very mad. We had a big fight about it. The fight ended with her being like, damn it, That's it. I want you to delete her number from your phone. I don't want her number on your phone anymore. I want you to delete it. Get rid of it. I was like, I will do whatever makes you stop sounding like that. So I pulled out my phone, I went to that girl's name in the contact section, I pulled up the options, and I was scrolling down to the delete option like a good person. But then I saw right above the delete option, my phone had an option that said set as secret. I was like, you are a sneaky bastard. I felt like at that point that option should have just said like, hey man, fuck your girlfriend. Let's party. As sneaky as that was, at the same time I was like, my phone has my fucking back. That's awesome. Like I felt like if my phone had legs and it walked into a room with me standing over a dead body panicking, it would just be like, dude, get out of here. I got this. So I'm caught in the struggle, right? My phone is appealing to my id, my worst instincts, and my righteous self, my superego with the nice shirt is like, damn, you gotta do the right thing. You gotta delete the number. So I did. I deleted the number. Give it up for that, everybody. Then, like 2 minutes later, that other girl texted me. So I just saved the number again. Fuck her, I kept my word, that's fine. My favorite part about telling that story at shows, I've told it a few shows now, is that the first time I ever told it, right after the show, this girl came up to me, very coy, and was just like, so, what phone has that set as secret option? Which I think is a great way to introduce yourself to someone just like, so, I cheat on people. The best part about it is I told her, but I don't have a cool like iPhone or smartphone. I told her, I was like, oh, it's a rumor squared by LG? And she was just like, oh, I'd rather just get caught.
Fuck you!
Give it up for Dan Ronan, everybody. Chicago comedian who recently passed on. The brightest flames burn quickest. That's what they say. And he was no exception to the rule. And you could still go out there and hit up his Twitter, let his family know that you heard him, and tell him how you feel about the young comedians passing on. Show your respect. Be respectful, people. Don't go on Twitter and be that troll. It's like, hey, that guy sucked or whatever. Don't do that, because if you do and I find out about it, I'm gonna spam your ass from Twitter, and you don't want that because I'm kind of funny, especially when it comes to text. Like, I'll just tear you apart. You don't need that from me. And I'm relentless, too. I don't know what's going on out in the hallways, but people are getting crazy. I think there's a fight. And that's it. It's time for me to wrap this up. I'd like to thank you for joining me again right here on the Laugh or Else podcast. Stay tuned in the coming weeks. I've got more great stuff lined up for you. I'll have more comedians maybe that you've never heard of, or more local Chicago blend stuff. But coming up at my venue, Jay Farrow is going to be there, as well as Paul Reiser, and there's another one that I'm really interested in seeing. I'll talk more about that next time. Thanks for listening. I'm Tim Radicek, and this has been the Laugh or Else podcast.
Welcome to my humble abode, sweet home Chicago. Our blood flows like the red line. From the south side, how it's in the 95th in the rhyme. It's nothing sweeter than cruising. They shall drop in summertime, but hold it. Don't forget Lincoln and Logan. Wicked Jeff Garfield, humbled and Warwick. That's Old Town, Greek Town, Punk Town, Shop Town. This is my kind of town. Where the blues was born and never would die. Thanks to Muddy Waters and the legendary Buddy Guy. Now we're spitting our lives. It's only fitting to acknowledge the wise and truly influence millions of minds. Cubs and Sox, Bulls, Bears and Hawks. That's sweetness, MJ, Santo, Fox. This is greatness, a city full of beautiful clocks. Open up your ears, eyes and souls and just watch. Let me tell you something. This is all from nothing. Let me tell you something. My city don't run from nothing. Legends Lyric District, El Biggie. Chicago love. Chicago, Illinois, the illest noise deployed. Destroy your little toys and abort your stupid noise. Diffusing them a bruising, all you lose is with some poise. We're choosing to stop fuming the consuming of your voice. The choice that we have made, enslave your whole brigade. I made it with a blade to make you fade and go away. You're afraid of this crusade. Mr. Rogers will just say that Chicago will just slay all you people feeling brave. Days with every phrase in a maze, cause we don't play. The dope is to engrave any page with utter rage. And we're passion everlasting, but the mass is not attracted. I'm asking all you bastards to back up off this fast. Reaction that we have is that we're laughing at your ass, thinking that you're bad, but you're actually a fag. So we're going to the back and we're grabbing us a back, just so we can smack all you cats and think we're whack. Chicago. Let me tell you something. Ooh, yeah. It's over from nothing. Let me tell you something. It's over from nothing.
In the faces of anyone who disgraces the Chi-Town and its greatest. Just take a look at the playlist. Words is golden, no silver, bronze shit. C4 explosives, we still the bomb shit. Andre Debris, who sings the hot shit. While Mr. Rogers cruising through neighborhood watches. We're making hip-hop in the city a win now. A big town that is represented by this sound. Come with love, you probably be greeted with fist pounds. But if not, get your tenements ripped down. A big shout to the south side, north side, all sides, west side. We're the best ride. Let's vibe to the rhythm of the shiniest dwellers or mic slingers that'll walk you through the doors of the cellar. You are boarding the SS, more deference, knowing the weather, so you better line up. Show Shy love forever. Chicago.